Hey y'all, I'm Dario, the face behind the Urban Book Nook, where I share book reviews, author spotlights, and all things lit, literally. And if you know me, you should already know how I feel about this author lady right here. Okay, not read a book that has missed yet. So I just want to introduce Ty to the conversations in the Nook. How are you?
I am good. That is such a good intro. I just have to say that. Thank you.
Don't miss. I mean, I will watch when we get in this book. You don't miss at all. So for those who do not know you, introduce yourself and tell us about yourself.
I am Ty. I'm author of contemporary and new adult romance and women's fiction. I've been doing this now. I've been writing most of my life, but in terms of actual publishing, the last 7 years. And any of my books are all, for the most part, angsty. There's a twist usually. There is some emotions. You're going to feel all the feels when you read my stories. So just a quick spill. Love writing, love this whole book space, even with the ups and downs. So I'm glad to be here.
Good. I'm so glad you're here. I was like, Tony, you just you do not miss. And Madly Driven was another top tier. I can't wait to get my book trophy. But girl, you are outdoing yourself every time you drop.
I hope so. I hope so. I'm sitting here like, yes, I can't wait for y'all to read this one. This is a little different for me. Like if you read my stories, I have a lot of emotional stories. And this one is what I call like a pure romance, a pure summer romance. Trust me, you'll feel you still there's some emotion there, but it is just for me, it was fun to write. It was a fun read. I love Kanan and Kenzie. I love their chemistry, and I can't wait to people just really get into this story and see what Ty is all about. So I'm excited. I'm excited.
So, for readers who may be discovering you for the first time through Madly Driven, how would you describe the story in your own words?
It is a story that is made for romance lovers. It has all the tropes.
And all
It's enemies to lovers, it's forced proximity, best friends, ex, sports romance with the F1, with him being an F1 driver. It's a billionaire romance. Like I literally when I was writing, I was just like, what as I'm writing it, I'm like, what would make you fall in love with these characters? And of course, because I'm a woman, I want y'all to fall in love with Kanan. So what would make you all fall for Kanan Jackson? And so, especially because he's an asshole. So when you're an asshole, you really have to do some things so that you, by the end of the book, you are rooting for him and Kenzie to make it.
and I loved him. I think I just love assholish men, and that's my problem. Loved
Yes.
for some reason because he was not playing with her, and she wasn't playing with him either. But he was telling her about herself, and if you could tell me about myself, I'd be like, "Don't talk to me like that, okay?"
That is him.
First, or did the idea of a sports romance kind of take its own blossoming thingy?
Yeah. It's anytime as an author, I know, so many right now in this black romance space, it is authors coming out left and right. That's one thing I can say as a reader, you will never lack of material. Like when I used to be a reader, you would have to wait for a while for books to come out. Now there's no waiting. With that said, so that makes all the authors step up their ante. Like, what can I do differently? What's different? And of course, I've written football romance, I've written basketball romance, and baseball romance. So I was like, what about something slightly different? And then I started, this is funny. Lewis Hamilton, he just won, I want to say Monaco F1. He just won a race earlier this week. And I thought he was a fashion person. I didn't know he was even a race car driver at first. And then when I started, I was like, oh, he's a fashion person. They're like, oh my God. Like Kenzie in the book says Lewis Hamilton. That was me. That's actually how I felt about it. Even though I was following Lewis and never paid attention to what he actually was doing. And then when it hit me that he's the only black person to ever win an F1, then I had the idea of what if it's a person that's already a NASCAR driver? Like, because I wanted to show the difference between the two, a
Yeah.
NASCAR driver becoming an F1 driver. So the concept that came first. And then I had to play around with who did I want Kenzie to be? But Kanan was first in my head. Kanan was the character that popped in my head first.
Ooh. Let me, without giving too much, you did
Mhm.
beautifully of dynamics between a father and son. Or
Thank
just
you.
any child just seeking, I guess, approval. And
Hmm.
there took me through the ringer, and I didn't think that was going to weigh that much on me, but I wanted to cry with him just for what he desired. Oh, girl, you had me. I was all over the place, okay? But I will say this was my first race car book. So I was totally there. The adrenaline that comes with race driving was there as well. You had me going through palpitations, okay? Um, so when we picked racing, and there's very small few of African representative or
In
representation.
the race world. Hmm.
How much I guess studying did you have to do to even make sure it was like aligned with, you know?
Yeah, yeah, with the actual story. I did. I looked at I remember being young watching Wendell Scott, this movie Richard Pryor called I think
Mm.
it's Grease Lightning with him when he played Wendell Scott, which is the very first black person to win an auto racing. I remember that movie as a child because Richard Pryor was funny, but I remember like loving that movie. So that stayed in the back of my head. So I went and did actual research on Wendell Scott, who the story is based on, and then I started because at first I was thinking about making him a NASCAR. Honestly, I was thinking about it. Then I said, what about elevating it? And then I had to figure out what's the difference between the two because there is a difference.
What is the
And
difference?
then the okay difference is one is the car itself. The NASCAR type of car is it's like the Mustang. It is the cars we see on the street, except they souped up, they're faster. So those are the everyday cars that people will work on to make them these powerful cars. I'm not gonna say everyday because definitely there are cars who are designed to race. And then you have the F1 cars where they're not ever going to be on a regular street. They're tiny, they're compact, and it is designed for speed. It is designed because it's so small. It's faster than the average NASCAR car would be, although both cars go at crazy speeds. And so that's why I wanted to show the transition with Canaan. That's why it was a challenge for him because he'd been driving cars, he American, well, Caribbean American, but he'd been driving these kind of cars forever. So he wanted to challenge himself. And this is why he would get, when you read the story, I don't think it's a spoiler to say he would get claustrophobic at times because the car for F1 is so much smaller.
Oh,
And then the cars are much more expensive. So it's a billionaire's race, honestly. The F1 is, and I think more attention is getting, Beyonce, when she went last year to Vegas Grand Prix, everybody was all there, all excited. And I was like, now I think that there's more and more Black people really getting into this race that was designed more for the elite. It is designed more for, your cars are 15 million and up. So imagine damaging a car that costs 15 million and one pop. Like you get in a bad accident, that's it. That's 15 million gone. So the elite world, I wanted to show how we can be in any world. So that is why I decided to make him more of an F1 driver than just NASCAR. Not there's anything wrong with NASCAR, so I'm not trying to say that at all. So people just
no,
showing the elevation.
we can be in those rooms as well.
Yes, exactly.
But like,
Exactly.
now that I read the book and you said that that means even more because that means he can afford to be in these spaces. Don't talk to me
He
anytime
could afford.
I can
Exactly. He
like you.
forward because that's what he yes, yes, because he doesn't really get along with his father. When his father's arguing with him, he's like, I just made that money, I just help you make money so I can afford this car. I'm just asking for this money to help pay my team. So, and this is why you want these sponsorships from Ferrari, from Porsche. You want all this because at the end of the day, what is it, Porsche? The
Well,
Porsche.
still, I know they sponsor.
Yes, yes. You want these big companies sponsoring because this whole process of being in the F1 race is for those who can afford those kind of cars and those kind of races. And they typically are billionaires that are in control of this. So so I had to do some research to show, but
Black.
so I can understand it. Not as I'm writing, I wanted as much as I could. And then then I did little things like get into a race car myself or which was crazy because I get motion sickness.
Did you?
Um,
Is one here?
mhm.
I mean, one in Houston, the Texas, Houston
You
area.
can go twice. You can go twice a year, in which it's going to come back in October. You can go and you can either drive a race car yourself. You pay a little extra, but you can drive it yourself. And they'll have someone in a car that's kind of instructing, but you're driving, or you can be the passenger of a race, and a race car driver is speeding you around the track. It is an experience, trust me. If you don't get motion sickness, I recommend it. Now, I don't know. I would love to do it again, but I screamed and cut up so bad the whole time. The driver, he could not stop laughing. He was like, "She ain't stopped screaming this whole time." But we was hitting them corners. I was just like in my head, I'm like, "Oh my God, this is how Canaan." I'm like, "It's such a skill in it. Like you might underestimate it, but that skill in which that driver was going almost 200 miles an hour around this track, like, and it was an intricate track that I was just like, it took some skill. And this is a NASCAR race driver.
You are super dope for doing that. Let me just say that. And then two, okay, so there's a scene in the book, not to give to
Hmm. Yeah.
where we kind of go through something on the track. So
Yes.
were you, is that after you were in the car that you wrote that scene?
No, no, no. That was something I could imagine could
Oh,
happen.
that's me. Like I was like, oh no. So vivid.
That was my imagination, but then I wanted to feel it, so so that's why I put myself in that position. Like a lot of Madly Driven was my imagination. Of course, I was watching videos of racing and just saying, and then knowing when I've had fun on go-karts and, ATV, stuff like that, then I was like, how would someone feel at this moment? And then when I actually experienced it, it just really gave me a new respect for this process. And
I,
I was like, I think I captured it now. I do. I think I did.
you did, because I won't even get on a motorcycle because like I panic. I can't handle it. So I can only imagine I would have lost my mind in that car. So
Yes. But I mean, I will say this, if you can, it is it is an experience. It really is. Now I know that's a thrill seeker for sure. But or drive it yourself so you can kind of control the speed. You know what I mean? So be
like
like,
you're going 40
"Hmm?"
miles per hour. I'd be
That's
like,
what I said. I was like, but then I got scared because them cars were pretty inexpensive. And the idea of me getting in the car and feeling like I would have hit something just because, I was like, I can't drive it myself. As soon as start off, I would have hit something. That's how I felt. I was like, I don't care if I'm gonna hit and this, uh, the cars that they had was like fabulous cars. But anyway,
that,
yes,
okay, bucket list, bucket list. So let's get
yes,
into Kensie and Canaan. Okay, first name,
yes.
her name is gorgeous. I originally wanted
Thank
to
you.
put her now I don't even, it was something with a K. So
Yeah.
it made me feel like I should have done it, but it's all right. So I will tell you, they pissed me off, both of them. Okay. Her and him together as one
Hmm.
pissed me off as a unit. How do we do the balance of being strong held in us because they both had very
Yeah.
characteristics and then
Yeah.
being able to format it into a romance because they were buttholes, okay?
They really were. They really both were. But whew, that's a good question. When you do enemies to lovers, you have to be careful because you want them to have enough chemistry. You can see why they're irresistible to each other. But it's not, if you can't show why they also don't like each other, then it can't be enemies to lovers.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was trying to take the basic personality because Kenzie is a headstrong, I don't need anybody kind of woman. And yes, exactly. She's like, I'm fine, I'm good. Because when the story starts, she is not looking for love. She's not looking for a relationship, even though that's her brand name. Even though that's her brand, that's what she's going around promoting. But she herself was like, I'm good. And then there's Kanan, who doesn't want a relationship because one, he's a player. He just really doesn't want to settle down. And then secondly, he is focused on his career. Um, and so but I had to show there was enough chemistry. One, they went to, same HBCU, Prairie View. So they had that in common, just they had that past history. And then the more that they spent time together learning about each other, because Kanan is not just a billionaire, he is a brilliant scientist. He's an chemical engine, mechanical engineer. No, no, no. I made him He was a geologist and engineer, so that he understood how oils, how do in
Yeah, I remember.
Texas, so that he understood oil drilling because his father owns this oil drilling company. And so being in Houston, you hear people all the time in oil and gas, oil and gas. So then it was like, I can easily make him a billionaire because there's a lot of rich folks in Houston. So I was like, and I knew a black man who owned an engineering firm, and how he joked one time that his wife was mad with him because he blew 20 million, and he said it like it was nothing. I'm looking at him like, I'm sorry,
Hey, I'm
you
over
blew
here
20
like,
million?
ends.
Yes. And you're talking like it's not a big deal. He wasn't like depressed. He just said, I blew 20 million in stock, so I got to get it back. And he's just talking like anything. And so all those things came in my head about how do I, with Canaan being this type of person. And then Kensie, who's also, she's a love content creator, but she's also focused on getting a PhD in sociology. And when she did the research, so she's not just talking, this is her work. Her life work is looking at relationships and social relationships. And so both of them having a love of knowledge and education is what brought them,
Together.
that's what they have in common. So they can look past all the other stuff they didn't like about each other, which were actually superficial in the first place.
They were.
So I
But
don't
don't
know if that answers your question, but yes.
you did. You did. But you just reminded me that I'm almost let you slide with how you started off this book, sis. I almost let you I just remembered how we kicked off this book. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'm talking about we first.
Yes. First line.
Okay. I was like, oh, what do we have here? Okay. All right. Well done. Well done. You had me. You had me then. There was nothing you could have done wrong after we were paragraph two and we to it.
Yes, yes, yes. And that was also another reason why, because I wanted you to already feel that chemistry. So you already see it. And now we go back to the present. And it's like now they're seeing each other again. You already know the chemistry is there. So now what happens?
Yeah, I was on Ken's side because I'm like the nerve of you to have standards. We've already done it. Let's over. I was like, no, I'm agreeing with him, sis. Don't the nerve of you to have standards now. Let's keep a good
It
thing.
was a fling. They're on the island. That's what you do. You have fun. You're not bringing it back to Houston. You on Jamaica, you having fun. You accidentally bump into him on New Year's Eve. It's just fun. That's what she saw it as, a quick fling. It's done.
Lord blesses you with proximity of good PP. You pass on the Lord's blessings, okay? You keep them close. You keep them close.
You do.
See?
You do.
So which
You do.
character was easier to write, Kenzie or Cannon? Or the daddy? I mean, it was so many. It was so many. Which character in general was like easier to write?
In this particular book, it was Canaan. Because normally this is the thing. But most of my books, I'm always thinking about the woman. This is probably one of the first books that the man was in my head first. Usually I have a woman in mind that I'm like, I'm writing her story, and then the man comes. This was the first time that it was focused on him. So he was easier to write because I already had an idea of who I wanted him to be. And and then for her, I had to decide how I wanted her to be to counter him. So it was a little harder. And then even the conflict that she had with best friend, that's a fine line because some people can look at it like you broke girl code. Like you don't broke, how do you still like a character who from the get-go has already broken girl code?
I don't feel like she broke girl code. But listen, that might be why, I don't feel like she broke it because you moved on, sis. That is not my fault that you kept that man in your back pocket and you wasn't upfront right with me.
Indeed. Indeed.
In my mind, you had
Indeed.
a whole new man. So
Yep.
I feel like she was right. I mean, I was like, ooh, it got a little sticky after a while because we had something coming up, not to give away too much of them, but
Yes.
think she was fine, girl. I don't even know if I would apologize to the girl. I just
But I know there are women who like, because I knew a woman who started dating one of her friends' ex, and they had been broken up for 10 years. And when she started hanging out, and that friend was so bitter with her, and her friend was married again, all of that. So she was just like, I don't understand why you're bitter. It's been 10 years. I wasn't like looking for him 10 years ago. That was your man, wasn't even thinking about it. 10 years, we've grown in 10 years. So I run into him, we click.
and you
I
man,
don't have a, and you married, you have a man, I don't, and we click. So why not? And I was kind of on her side. I was like, yeah, man, why not?
I
He's why not?
I'm sorry he didn't work for you, sis. But this is the man I've been praying about, okay? You know what I'm saying?
Yes, indeed. So I kind of used that story for them because I wanted to like kind of play the little devil's advocate because they're definitely women who like, I don't care. He used to be mine, that's it. And then there's a side that's like, if this is the one for you, though, if he is the one for you, why would you turn it down because your friend who's already moved on says no?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Flip side of that, what character challenged you the most?
Malcolm.
Ooh.
Even though he was a side character, I wanted him to be noticeable enough because he may or may not get a second, he may be my character in another book. So I was trying to have him be noticeable enough that you might want have some interest in him, but not overshadow Canaan. So it was very because when I first wrote Malcolm, I had him kind of more low key, and then I was like, but I wanted to show that he genuinely loved Canaan, generally appreciated Canaan, and was the only one that really it was like Canaan's final family was Malcolm and Miss Muriel. So
Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, so I wanted to somehow say a little about him. Like you didn't really you saw a little bit about him. You knew he had some issues with love. You saw that.
That was a
So that's just me like putting some little
bread.
notes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. To be like, hey, he could be a possible character in this race world.
Yeah.
Um, oh,
Is
go ahead.
Malcolm still speaking to you then? As you said,
Yeah.
you read.
Oh, he's definitely still speaking. He's definitely still speaking.
Oh,
He's definitely different from Canaan, but he is also wealthy. Like I don't talk about that, but he's in that world. So, and he's also engineer. He's all, so I don't like again, he's even though he is like a sidekick in a way, he is not that sidekick who is this is Canaan, this is Malcolm. They're more like this.
but he
Like what's happening.
boss moves, like retired
Yes.
or that went like legit. Like he definitely gave me that aura, like that big daddy type of aura. Okay, I see where you're going with that. So
He's definitely it's a different vibe like that. Yes, his story will be a different vibe from Madly Driven, because there's definitely things that Malcolm has been through that was not discussed in Madly Driven that hinted at he believed he was a committed guy. He's not a player like
yeah,
Kanan, but he also hadn't been in a relationship in a long time, and you kind of find out why.
we did. Okay. So is it possibly a branch off or a sequel? Is that what you're telling me?
That is something that I think is in the works. I don't know if I can say it or not say it, but I know that is something that I have spoken with Black Odyssey about. So
We
we'll
would
see.
love that. Okay.
I know I do it because I'm loving this Kane and Kinsey world, madly driven world. So I am hoping that I can do another one. The plan is right now. I'm just going ahead and say the plan is now for me to do another one, but we'll see.
Well, okay, we'll take it. We'll take it.
Yes. Yeah. I got the title, everything. I'm ready to go on that one. So I'm hoping,
Okay, I
yes.
can't tell the title. Okay, I'll take it.
Yes. I can't tell the title. Nah. We have to drop that. I have to give Black Eyes permission to drop that title. But yes.
For the name Madly Driven,
Mhm.
how did you spark? I mean, it's well played on words, but how did
Yes.
you do it?
And initially, I was driving. At first, it was driven because I know people are like, oh, he drove me. I'm so driven, like stuff like that because they both driven people. And then it was drive me crazy. And then I was like, when I actually Googled it, it had several like books that was that title. So I said, okay. And then now there's something about in the world that's like people don't like when you say crazy, the mental health world. And so I was like, okay, what would emphasize that how someone can just literally make you go, ugh, like, because that's what,
Yeah.
that just get to you, get under your skin, but you want to be around them in spite of that. And then one of my good friends, she would always tell me, like in passing, she said, I love you madly. She was always, and I just love that she said that. So I was like, madly driven.
That is
There
so,
we go.
it does well because it just plays on so many words. So did any part of the book surprise you as you were writing it, or was it something that became a life as its own as you were writing?
Yeah, the birthdays, the whole birthday thing, but you have to, that wasn't originally when I was first writing, that was not going to be in the book. It wasn't. I was, because I was trying to, um, and I'm not going to get too many spoilers because I want you to read it. And I'm glad that we're doing a book talk so we can really talk about it.
Right.
But yes, but with that said, that was a scene that I put because I wanted to show Canaan's vulnerability. So
Mm,
that took a life on its own because I was trying to figure out how to show it. Because when I was actually writing it, as his vulnerability shows up, kind of in the beginning when he's by himself,
yeah.
and she's walking on the, by on the beach and she sees him. So you get a little bit of at the time well, I can't give that spoiler, but anyway. So I wanted to have another scene in which you sense it. And so that became a life of its own because that wasn't how that was going to go. That whole scene wasn't going to be in there at all. And so when I went back and added the scene and read, I said, "Oh my, I'm so glad I added that scene because I think it added a layer of
It did.
connection for them."
It did. Okay, so was there any things that did not make it in the book that you took out?
No, I honestly, when people say they got deleted scenes, I very seldom. I mean, it's hard for me to delete a scene. Like I will fight for that scene. Like I've had editors say, not for this book. I will say editor loved the book. She made me feel good. She was like, I love this book. I ain't got no. She was like, usually editor gonna tell me to do something. I'm waiting for the editor to tell me what I need to change. This editor was like, yes. The only thing is she wanted to find out a little bit more about Kanan's mom, but she was like, but it's not really that relevant at the same time. She was like, but that was just her interest, but not like she was like, but I love the story. Um,
But she seemed toxic, so it was just enough that in my mind, she's just an ancient woman. So, I mean, I don't mean to put it like that, but you did it just enough that you formulated like your own opinion that like
yeah,
for a man to step in and totally raise his son, that kind of tell you a little something different.
yes, yes. And then I know in real life, everybody doesn't really understand why parents do what they do.
Oh,
So you might never know why my mom did this, why my dad did this. You don't. So I kind of left it, because I wanted to show he had so much love in other areas that it really wasn't relevant for him to figure that out. And I'm glad overall the editor agreed with me because we had to talk about it. And she was, and I told her, she's like, okay, that makes sense. But she said at the same time, I didn't ask you to actually add it. that was just a thought I had. But,
yeah.
you know, so there's no deleted scenes, no.
So was there a scene that you wrote that you were like, ah, yes, this is the shift in their relationship? I mean, we saw it, but what was there like a momentum that you could tell that you were shifting to the lover part in your head?
Yeah. That's actually I love this book. As I'm thinking about it, I'm like, there's several scenes that I'm thinking about that I really like. It's funny, but
Which scene for you was like, yeah, this is it. Like, let's go to lovers.
yeah. One of my favorites is when he's by himself on the beach. That is like one of my favorite scenes. Just the conversation they have, then what happens right after. So it's um, it's a nice, it's a moment of reflection for both of them at the very beginning of what they're starting to do, and then when they share how they both relax. Like he's into meditating, she is into ASMR. So just that,
Because he was looking for a playlist. Yeah,
yes, yes.
got me on that. My heart hurt when she showed up to the house. That's why you don't pop up to nobody's house, okay? I just wanted to hug both of them and just be like, stop it. Everybody just pay attention right now. Let's talk about it. Like, I was like, girl, that's why I'm going to no man's house. Okay.
That part. Yes. Now that like I felt both of their pains on that in that moment because she was like, he needs me, and then to get there and feel like he really doesn't. And he's like, oh my God, I do need you, but I can't say it.
Yep. Oh, girl, I tell you, you always take me to the ringer. It just,
And I
it
was, yes, and you want to do, I want to write in a way that feels realistic, but also, because I know you're going to be mad at him, but I'm just thinking about pride. Like these are two prideful people. And I know pride because I've had, just in my own life and then just with friends sometimes, be like, girl, why you ain't say something? You know you want that man. We're like, what? And they'll be like, I couldn't, they have a reason why they didn't say it. And even vice versa with men, like, especially at this point, because at this point, he's still trying to figure out, was he betrayed or not? So,
which was crazy.
those.
You are the queen of plot twists, and that damn thing it was over my head the whole time, knowing that he was looking into it. I'll say that without giving into what, and I was like, oh no, oh no, oh no.
Yes. Yeah.
How do you
Yes.
romance and you still give us a plot twist? Like, who does that?
When I first started writing, I've written like over 50 books now, but when I first started, pretty much all my books had a plot twist. And then I was like, it started getting harder to make a plot twist. So now I pick and choose which books to get one at this point. It's like, okay, everybody can't, some books are just you'll read and enjoy. It is what it is. Then there are books that you might still be like, there's something, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. What happens? And in this case, it was formality driven. But because I wanted, there's all, even though this is again going back to, if there is a love hate relationship, you're talking about two people who've been scarred before, both of them have scars. Trust is hard.
Hmm.
And so it doesn't take much to say, I'm done with you, because you already have, your feet are two different places. You half in a relationship, half out, because you're waiting
Yep.
for that person to mess up. You are. And in both cases, they both were waiting. Much as they were feeling each other, both in both cases, we're waiting for the other person to show, see, this is why I can't give my heart to anyone.
Hmm.
And these are both people have this. It's not like he's like, I'm gonna be with you no matter what, and I'm gonna be with you no matter what. Neither one are like that. They're like, you'll see.
And they both left it just enough though. And I think that yearning for, all right, let's see where it goes, definitely takes it further.
Now, one of my favorites I can't really say because I thought it was toward the end. Um, I would just say at her. No, I'm not gonna say it because it's the whole moment that I was like, I just, yeah, I can't. That I enjoy.
I think I know what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
Do some fun lightning round. Okay, so rapid fire.
Okay. I love rapid fire.
So who falls first? Kenzie or Cannon?
Canaan.
I love it. I love it. Who would apologize first? Kenzie or Canaan?
Kenzie.
Who is more stubborn, Kenzie or Canaan?
Ooh, Kenzie. She
So
would apologize if she thinks she's wrong. I believe that. She will apologize if she thinks she's wrong, but she's most stubborn too. So she really have to see she's wrong to apologize.
valid point. So they started on a beach. If they got
Yeah.
stranded on the beach, who would survive? Would it be Kenzie or Canaan?
Wait, say it again. Say it
So
again.
they started on a beach and say we
Yes.
get stranded on this beach.
Hmm.
Who would have survived being stranded on this beach? Kenzie or Canaan?
Kenzie, because Kanan funny about what he eats. So Kenzie will gonna be like, okay, we gotta eat. He gonna be like, I don't know.
Um, who would spend money without checking their bank account first? Kenzie or Canaan?
Oh, that's a good one. I'm actually, even though Kanan is filthy rich, I'm gonna say Kenzie. I think she's like, she tries to enjoy life, and she didn't grow up with much, so she really takes on like this lifestyle of, I just want, not that she's a gold digger, anything like that, but I think she would be the one that would spend, and he might be like, okay,
She gonna spend that thing. You know how women
yes,
how we do.
yes.
Who would most likely send the risky text, Kenzie or Canaan?
Oh, Kanan for sure. He's more aggressive. Like he pursued her. He really did. So yes, he's the more aggressive.
Okay, so this one isn't on rapid fire, but we got to the end of the book.
Mhm.
Did we know that the book was going to end in a way of lovers, or did we want to still do enough that we didn't want to fully commit? I don't know how to say it without giving too much
Yeah,
away.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's all
hmm.
the feels. So did you know we were going with all the feels? Let me do it like that. Or did they
I'll
kind
say this. It was more feels than I thought. It was going to.
Oh,
Yeah.
so they really were talking to you if it was more feels than you thought.
Yeah. No, it really was as their story um continued. Let me just be honest with you. I have to say this. It was funny because when I originally, uh, I hadn't finished the book. I submitted it to a couple of places, and they wanted me to make changes. And they said, "We like the story, but it doesn't really fit our people." If you change, and I said, "I didn't want." And they like, "But it's a good story. If you don't want to change it, try to submit it somewhere else." So I said, "I'm not changing. I'm gonna submit it somewhere else." And I submitted to Black Odyssey. And Black Odyssey said straight up at the time, because this was like last year, it was like between 3 to 5 months to get back to you. So I was like, okay, I got time to finish this book. I just gave them, a part of the book. They reached out to me maybe less than a week once I submitted it. And it was like, we like it. Can you send the whole thing? I'm like, uh-oh. I was like, uh-oh.
Got something. Gotta let
I
them.
was like, okay, can I get it to y'all by the end of this is I think I got the I want to say end of May. So it's been about a year. And I said, can I get it to y'all by end of July? And they were like, yeah, yeah, yes. Shawanda, who's the CEO, was like, yeah, you think you can be finished? Yeah, yeah. And meanwhile, I'm like, oh Lord have mercy, I gotta get some writing done. And I'm lucky for me, it flowed out of me. Like it was just like and
Wait, we're less than a
I,
month away. So before it ends on us, tell us about the book when it drops,
oh, June 30th.
and then where can we look buy the book?
You can buy it anywhere. It's going to be at all. You can order from any major bookseller, any indie bookstore. It's available on audio, uh, paperback, and ebook on June 30th. It's available anywhere you buy your books. Period.
I can't believe we almost ran out of time. I was like, oh my God, I just got my alert. But you were amazing. Of course, I always have the best interviews with you.
Yes, you do. You kill it every
Already,
time.
already congratulations on the success because I know the girlies are about to eat this up. You have another gem on your hand. And I
Thank you.
sit down with you, and I can't wait to see you at the launch. And we about to be in these streets together. Okay.
Thank you. Thank